Good morning, everybody, afternoon, and also good evening to our speakers. Thank you, everybody, for registering for and attending our Moving Online webinar today, specifically for our engineering instructors. Today we'll be recording this session as well, so if you wanted to pass this on to anybody else, please feel free to pass that along. And we're also going to be doing a lot of questions and answers and everything throughout the session as well, so please make sure anything that you have questions about, put that in the Q&A box. And now I'm going to pass the presentation over to Afsana, who will be running us through the housekeeping for today.
Thank you, Mel. So just before we begin, just a couple of things. During the webinar, as mentioned, Mel mentioned, there will be question opportunities. So we are moderating the chat box and the Q&A. So do drop your questions and any queries in there, and we will get back to you. So we have Mel, who will be helping, and myself and Parveen as well. So just drop us any messages, any queries, and we will try and get back to you guys. And of course, any questions you have for the speakers. Just a few things to flag as well. So if you are experiencing any kind of sound issues, audio kind of problems, just bear in mind that it could be to do with your internet connection. If this is the case, I would recommend calling in using your phone. And that can be done through, if you disconnect your current audio on your laptop or your computer, you can then connect through your phone. It could be other kind of platforms that are being used in your home as well, so anything on YouTube, Netflix, any streaming platforms. This is just something to bear in mind. And as Mel mentioned, the session will be recorded, so if you do miss anything, we will be sending the recording link afterwards as well. And of course, there will be Q&A opportunities at the end. You can send your questions in during the webinar, but we will have a Q&A at the end of the session. So you probably realise you are unfortunately unable to put your mics on. However, you can use the chat and the Q&A boxes to engage with the speakers and ourselves. So if you have any questions, any comments, just drop them in there. So the Q&A box is more just for any questions, and the general chat box can be used for general queries. Also, if you have any technical issues, feel free to drop us a message in there as well. And that's all from me, so I'll hand back to Mel, and that should come through to you now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Afsana. So today for our webinar, we have two speakers. We have Professor Amin from the University of Queensland, who will run us through his story and his journey of moving his course from the classroom to online. And what that looked like and how that actually played out at his institution in Queensland. And then we also have Happy, who's from McGraw-Hill, who is a learning design manager. So she'll run you through a little bit more of that technical implementation sort of situation and what this looks like in your classroom, how it can be modified, how it can really customize to your situation and course as well. So to get started, it's over to you, Professor Amin, to run through the situation at your school. Over to you. Professor Amin, you're muted. Just have to unmute.
All right. It works. So thank you very much for the introduction, Melanie, and the opportunity. And thanks, everybody, for joining this webinar. Hopefully, I can share my experience in a second-year course in engineering that I teach, usually in semester 1 every year, the course called Fluid Mechanics, and it is offered in the School of Mechanical and Mining with you in the next 15-20 minutes. And then I look forward to your feedback and your questions. So, as Melanie mentioned, I'm an engineering academic, and I have been teaching and researching in the School of Mechanical and Mining at the University of Queensland since 2005. So, just a little bit of introduction in terms of the University of Queensland. The university has got several campuses throughout the state of Queensland in Australia. So we are basically in St. Lucia campus in the city Brisbane. And the St. Lucia campus is a very beautiful campus with 3 lakes and lots of gardens, and it's a fantastic environment for students to socialize and study. UQ, which is short for the University of Queensland, is famous for its outstanding teaching and learning spaces, and lots of technologies for recording lectures, for presentation, for sharing slides, and a number of laboratories and research environments within the campus and outside of the campus. So we are very fortunate to work on this campus and in this university. So the university, as I said, has got a number of campuses. 3 of them are the major ones, and we are in the St. Lucia campus. And as you see, the campus is surrounded by the Brisbane River. We have every year, at the moment, we have more than 53,000 students enrolled externally and internally at the postgraduate and undergraduate levels. We have more than 18,000 international students from more than 130 countries enrolled in the university, different disciplines. And we have more than 18,000 postgraduate students and 6,600 plus staff at the academic, professional, and research and teaching levels. A number of buildings and research centers and teaching spaces. And we have 8 major research institutes within the university. And the university has got mainly 6 faculties. And the faculties are basically the business, economics, and law, engineering, architecture, information technology, and we have the health, humanities, medicine, and science. And as you may guess, we are in the faculty of EAT, which is short for engineering, architecture, and information technology. So the faculty has got 5 schools and 1 big research centers on water management. And I'm basically the Associate Dean Academics for the faculty, but my teaching and research role is in the School of Mechanical and Mining Engineering. And the school has got various disciplines such as aerospace and mechatronics, but the main 3 programs are mechanical, mining, and materials. And we teach the fluid mechanics to these students, the fundamental fluid mechanics in their 2nd year. So we have used the McGraw-Hill textbook for this course, fluid mechanics, since 2006, I guess, since I started teaching this course. And we have had a very close relationship with people, and the support I have received has been fantastic. So we basically follow the structure of the textbook, especially for the fundamental section, and we go through chapter 1 to chapter 7 throughout the course. And in some chapters we actually go deeper, and in some chapters we just basically give some sort of introduction to the concept. So if we just summarize the course, we basically cover the fluid statics. So we basically teach students how the pressure varies behind a dam and how the dam is designed. We cover the fluid dynamics, so the water flow, gas flow, all the liquids and gases behaviors when they are moving. We discuss the fundamental equations for calculation of pressure losses inside the pipes, and we help students to design a pipe flow. And we also cover dimensional analysis that they use in all other areas of engineering, but it has been comprehensively presented in the textbook, and we cover it in the course. And in the last 4 weeks of the semester, we give them an introduction to the complex flows, and we cover areas such as Introduction to Fundamental Navier-Stokes for Computational Fluid Dynamics and Boundary Layers and Drag and Lift Calculations. So that's the course structure and the course content. And the delivery of the course is actually based on 4 main elements, and there are lectures, so very similar to any other course, and we have tutorials. We also have a contact session where we do more interactive activities and we engage with students on their problem-solving techniques. And we also have a practical as a part of this course that students use their theoretical knowledge to apply to a real fluid mechanics problem. And the assessments of the course are very straightforward. We actually followed the recommendation that the assessments should be straightforward, not too many, not too little. So we have continuous assessment throughout 3 quizzes. Every one of them is 10%. And we have a practical 10% and the final exam 60% that covers all the learning objectives and the learning attributes of the course throughout the semester. So the course has been very successful. I have been teaching this course, as I said, since 2006. And if you look at the student evaluation of the course, we have always had a success in terms of student satisfaction. And there are so many reasons behind this. So the support we have received from McGraw-Hill is a critical element. The online resources they have provided for us all over the years, the free textbook that sometimes they have given me and I shared it with students and the tutors. So there are so many other elements such as the teaching team, the support from the school, and I have worked really hard to maintain the quality of the course over the years, and you can see from the results. So this is called CCAT, which is Student Evaluation of the Course and Teaching, and it is out of 5. So we have always been around 4 point something in this course, and I'm very proud of this. And we were planning for 2020 to actually have a very good satisfaction and a high quality learning for students. So the teaching team is not just me. We have 2 lecturers in the course, and usually every year we get 7 tutors to make sure we have a good student experience and a good support from the teaching staff for students. And the tutors are going through like an interview. I ask them questions about their experience, and the recruitment is a very intensive practice for me. I want to make sure that I get the tutors who can really support students. So in 2020, when we started this year, we had 270 students, 41 of them were female, 40 international students. And out of the cohort, we had 217 students from mechanical, 22 mining, 2 structure, and we had other students, 29 students who were interested in fluid mechanics from other disciplines, and they took this course as elective. So we came to the semester, and all of a sudden we had to face this COVID-19 issue, and the university closed down, and they asked us to go online. Luckily, we had some online resources already, but we had to teach and run the tutorials and run the practicals online. And obviously, when you move to a different system of teaching in a very short period of time, obviously you need to go through all these challenges and make sure that you have strategies in place to deal with these challenges. So the rest of this presentation, I'm actually sharing with you the challenges of moving online and the opportunities. So similar to every situation, moving online brought us some challenges and also had some opportunities. So I think from a student perspective, when you all of a sudden you lose the access to the university and to your lectures and to your lecturers and tutors and to the campus and to your peers, you basically have a fear that you lose the engagement with your learning. And the question is, how can I stay motivated and interested in continuing learning and reading the course material? And depending on the course, you may actually face the issue with unclear tasks, and you don't know what to do every week. And these are the things that scare students. Some courses actually offer too many online resources without a structure, and students are confused which online resource they should use or they should focus on every week, and obviously no access to the students and to the staff, and losing the opportunity to form groups of like teaching teams, teaching focus groups is another difficulty. And at the end, and I think the most important thing is that when you cannot come to the campus, you lose the social aspect of the University of Life, and it has direct and indirect impact on student learning. But obviously, there are some opportunities. So opportunities for students when they go online is that they can study in their own time, with their own pace. They don't need to follow the pace of a lecture or a tutorial. They can actually sit somewhere more comfortable and either participate in the online activity or watch it online or watch the recording. And they also can participate in the lectures from anywhere. And that could be an advantage of motivating them to participate in more learning. Obviously, they don't need to travel every day to the campus, so less trouble of getting to the classroom in time and maybe some cost saving. Obviously, they have access to more online resources because every course is online, so they need to have online information and material. And if they actually schedule it perfectly, they can attend more classes than if they needed to move from one room to another lecture room on the campus physically. And obviously, in order to form a study group, they also have opportunities to do this virtually and network with their friends and go through problem solving together as a team, but in an online fashion. And some students always hated to come to the lectures and sit in a classroom, and they always blamed us that the lectures are boring. So this was an opportunity to actually not to come to the campus and sit in a lecture and maybe attend the virtual lecture more effectively and engage with the course. So my role as the course coordinator was to actually utilize the opportunities and identify and implement strategies to deal with the challenges of the course. I don't know what happened here. Okay. So the next slide is actually going through a couple of or a few strategies and the tools we used this semester to. So there were two intentions for this. One was to make sure that we enhance student learning, and at the same time we keep them engaged, because these are the two main elements that when we lose interaction, I'm not sure what I have done. Anyway, yeah. Is that better? Yep. Sorry, I didn't know you could see that box in the corner. All right. So what I'm trying to cover here is that so very similar to any course in any university, every course has got an online site, a learning site, and a UQ we use Blackboard. And every semester we basically put our lecture notes and lecture slides for students to read and prepare for the lectures or read them after the lecture on Blackboard. So we have like number of folders in the lecture notes section of the site where we share the lecture slides and lecture notes and some multiple choice questions for students for their self-learning. And in addition to that, we also had we recorded our lectures and tutorials, and we uploaded them onto Blackboard. And we either use Zoom for this, or we use Echo 360, which is the university system. So every student had access to all the recordings of the lectures and tutorials if they couldn't join these sessions live. The good thing about these sessions is that even they are online, they're still interactive, and students could ask questions, either ask questions using like verbally, or they could even put their questions in the chat. And this semester, as an experience, it was interesting that some students who never asked questions in a real lecture room because they were shy, they actually asked questions in the online lectures. And because it was written, it was documented, we could actually respond to them more effectively and engage them in their learning. And that was a very useful exercise. We also didn't just leave it to the recordings of the lectures and tutorials. We also generated a series of videos, very short videos that just covered one of the textbook questions, some of the textbook questions, and we basically explained the questions in the video, and also listed the assumptions, the methodology, and also we went through some of the solution techniques and different features of that problem with students. And these are actually received very well by the students. And my tutors were very helpful doing this. The other issue that I always was worried was losing students and keeping them on track. So what I did every week, either from my empty lecture room or from my tutorial room or from my office, I actually made a number of short video clips, and I explained to the students what was the expectation, what are the learning activities in that week, what the students are supposed to do. If it came to the in-class quizzes, I explained the structure of the quiz, and I put these videos into the Blackboard site, and I also published them on the Facebook page. And you should see all these interaction and comments underneath of these videos, and it actually generated a number of interesting engagement activities with the students. The last thing that I put it on the course Blackboard site was the practical module. And so as I said, practical was a part of this course, and because we couldn't go to the laboratory and run the prac physically, we had to do it differently this semester. And in order to do that, I generated a practical module that we videoed the practical. We went through the whole experimental setup. The link is down here, and you actually can click on it and watch it, or maybe go through the module and you can see what sort of informations are there. I don't think I have time to go through it today, but if there is a question, we can come back to here and show you. Students really found it very useful, and they interacted with the prac because all the information was there. We gave them a set of data. We showed them how to analyze data. And basically, we traveled through the practical together with the students. And at the end, students had enough knowledge to write a very good report on their experience. All right. So as I said, the Facebook and the social media was another tool I used to engage with my students. I have a Facebook page for every course I teach in first year, second year, and third year. in engineering. And this is a way that we interact with students outside of the classroom, even when we have access to the face-to-face. And it is quite very popular. As you see, there are 217 students joined this page out of 270 students enrolled in the course. And we basically go through a number of different interactions and questions and answers and discussions, and we share videos, we share photos, we even share some of our social activities in the course when we had face-to-face activities, and it is a very useful tool to interact with students. What I also did this semester, last year, but I completed it this year because we went online. I got permission from McGraw-Hill, and I used their questions from the textbook, and I created a module which is very interactive. And as you see, I just put two examples here. I created a pool of 400 questions, and I converted all the questions to multiple choice questions. And I created a module based on all the 7 modules of the textbook. And what I did, I added a number of other resources to every question, so they could see a video which is linked to the concept that this question has got, like hydrostatic pressure. Why do we need to use hydrostatic pressure in real engineering field? I had some documents to actually support the students' conceptual understanding of the fundamentals. And I also had the solution method to the question here. And as you see, there is a bar here. I can't actually interact with this because this is a photo, but I generated graphically so many different versions of that particular question. So students can see when you increase the pressure here, how the pressure or how the level of the liquid goes up and down here, and how this pressure affects the physics of the problem. And the same with static problems, the same with dynamics problems, and all of that. Yep. So these are not going to be in the quiz or in the assessment. These are all supporting materials. So what I'm presenting to you doesn't mean that students are being assessed for this. These are all formative assessment or supportive materials for students to get excited to engage with the questions and with the course. Then this semester, because we all of a sudden went online and some students had difficulty to access the textbook, and the libraries were closed, so they couldn't get a hard copy of the textbook. I was very fortunate that McGraw-Hill actually gave us a complimentary access to their online resources, and I utilized this very, very effectively in my course, and thanks to Happy and the whole team for supporting me to set this up, and they trained me, and I'm very grateful to everybody in your company, basically. And it was a very good learning experience for me to set this up because it was easy to do it in our Blackboard site as well. And students got enrolled into the course and they used the textbook. And I received so many supportive comments from students, and they are very thankful that they had the opportunity to have access to the online textbook, to the ebook, using the Connect. And as you see, it was very well structured, and I used, actually sometimes in my lectures, I went back to this page and I highlighted some of the concepts. And the most important thing I used from the ebook was the practice, and I used it as a pop-up quiz questions during my lectures, and I got students online to reply to those multiple choice practice questions. And it was really helpful in my teaching. In addition to just providing students with just a textbook, Happy helped me to set up some practice quizzes or exams, or we call it formative assessment. So for every week, we had a formative assessment or a couple of formative assessments. As I said, these are not as a part of the course final exam or final assessment. These are all supporting materials, and these multiple choice questions actually were so useful because they came from the textbook, so they could see the questions in the textbook, and they can actually, so we picked like 8 or 5 questions every week. It wasn't too many, and I think it was, in terms of the workload for students, we were very mindful not to overwhelm them by so many online resources, and I had all these online resources, but I used them effectively based on their load. All right, so what we learned throughout the semester, I think, for the enhancement of student learning, I think we need to be mindful that students are doing other courses as well. They're not just doing my course or your course, and we need to be aware that we have to have a reasonable workload and make sure students are not getting frustrated with so many tasks and so many online resources we provide for them. So it has to go to the right place. We have to use appropriate online learning resources, not because there are so many online learning resources. In fluid mechanics, there are so many. So I actually focused on the ebook, on the Connect from the textbook, so because that's the book we are using, and then the other resources are just supporting students to have a better connection to the fundamental of the course. I used media and videos I think very effectively and based on the students' feedback. And we have to make sure that if you have live lectures, there is a recorded version for students who cannot attend the live lectures. And we introduced dropping tutorials in addition to all the normal tutorials and the videos. We actually had sessions in Zoom that students come in, like on 3 sessions per week, to come and ask questions on a one-to-one basis with the tutor or with me. And I had some sort of a really continuous engagement with those dropping tutorials to make sure that students have a feeling that the lecturer cares about their learning, even they cannot see him in face-to-face. All right. Engagement is also important. So as I said, I use social media and Facebook. I made those videos, regular communication with students. I had a session and I called it online office hours, and I was available in Zoom during that hour for students who would like to come and talk to me virtually online. And it was very good. Office hours online was very useful. Yeah, definitely we need to provide students to ask questions and provide feedback. So I opened all different platforms for them to talk to me and give me feedback. I organized a number of practice quizzes and exams using Connect, and also I put some of the other practice quizzes on Blackboard, and I gave so many opportunities to students to practice assessment before they go to the real assessment. And I organized a couple of virtual social events, like we had a very interesting goodbye party at the end of the semester, and people actually brought their coffee, tea, some people brought their drinks, and we just had a chat with students about all of like the experience we had to go through this semester dealing with COVID-19 and how everybody dealt with it. And it was a very interesting session. All right, so that's it from me. I have my contact, I think, details in this slide. And I'm on LinkedIn. If you have any question or if you want to offer some advice to me, if you think what I'm doing is not good or can be more efficient, I would like to hear from you. And thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you so much, Eamon, for that presentation. It was very interesting looking at your institution, how you moved your course online, and obviously how you're interacting and changing pretty much your whole approach. So it was very interesting. So we are getting quite a lot of questions coming through on, you did mention the complimentary Connect access. So Happy can run through some more information on Connect and that LMS integration very soon. But just to give everybody some more context, we do have complimentary Connect access until the end of June, so you can get on board and have a look at how this all plays out with your course as well. So to pass over now to Happy, who will run us through some more information about integrating with your LMS, customizing the question banks, and everything that you'll need to know to get you started. Over to you, Happy.
Great, thank you so much, Mel, and hello, everyone. And I mean, it was such an inspiring presentation. Good morning and for everyone, and good evening for those in Australia. I really appreciate your time joining in the webinar. So my name is Happy Novanda. I'm the Learning Design Manager at McGraw-Hill, Australia. And I've been actually with McGraw-Hill for 6 years now. And I had the luxury to witness Amin's journey actually to transform his course from face-to-face to digital, and it was an amazing transformation. And just a little bit as well about myself, I actually, my background is actually electrical and electronic engineering. I did my PhD degree at the University of Manchester, so if we have some Manchester folks here, just wanted to have a special mention, hello. So tonight I'm just going to walk you through some of the frequently asked questions, statements that we've been hearing from engineering instructors across Australia and New Zealand, including tips and tricks and how we can find solutions from within Connect. So let's just get started. I don't know whether the students are reading the book or not. That seems to be a very common theme when it comes to engineering students. A lot of students think that the problems are more important than actually reading the book, and we all, the academics, know that that's not true. So we have a smart book, which is our adaptive reading technology. It uses the advanced learning science principle to deliver a personalized experience for each individual student. We use deliberate practice to help students as the student moves through the material. SmartBook collected multiple data points, and we use it to create the right sequence and the right pace for each individual student to learn and help them to focus on the knowledge gaps, to stay engaged and be able to identify what they know and they don't know. Another statement is students only need practice problems, as I just mentioned earlier. What we have in Connect is the question bank, and we have massive question bank. You don't have to create your own questions. We have hundreds of questions per chapter. Each question has detailed feedback, explanation, and hints available at your disposal. So in Connect, each assignment can also be set according to what you want, including unlimited attempts, and you can even change the tolerance limit if you want to make it higher or smaller. What does Connect have that my LMS, such as Blackboard, Canvas, Moodle, doesn't have? So the main point that we have in Connect is algorithmic questions. So the Connect uses techniques to present the same problem with different numeric values, which means that you can ensure equity. So each student will get the exact same question, but they have different value, which means they can't just copy each other's answer. And all these questions are editable. So I just want to stress how flexible it is in Connect. Everything in Connect can be all the questions in Connect can be editable. We also have interactive questions, such as interactive applets, videos, free body diagram tool. Earlier, Amin also mentioned how important it is to have something interactive, such as the interactive tools that he created for the tutorial, which is fantastic. McGraw-Hill is also partnering with Proctorio to offer new remote proctoring and browser locking capabilities within Connect. It will be available later this year. And of course, more importantly, Connect can be integrated to your LMS, so you can ask your education consultant about it. I want to give marks to students beyond just the final answer. This is very, very common as well. So when you think about exam and then students are getting pen and writing all the process, we do as well believe in the process, not just the final answer. That's why in McGraw-Hill Connect, we have process-oriented problems. So it encourages students to recognize and understand problem-solving techniques, and it requires students to identify assumptions that they are making and the sequence in which they answer complex engineering problems. So the problem itself is complex, and we break it down into some smaller questions to really check their understanding. So I'm going to show you a little bit further. Again, because of the flexibility of Connect questions, you can also edit the existing questions. And we've got some instructors as well who have very good questions that they want to add into Connect. We can do that. We can help them to do that as well. Of course, we won't let you just do it by yourself, because you're never alone. You always get support from us. You will have dedicated implementation consultant, learning design services for enterprise and institutional customers, and round-the-clock student and instructor support through live chat, phone, and email. So in summary, this is what's inside Connect. We have the course and very flexible student setup. You've got support at every step, and what more importantly, what you have is performance tracking, all the reports, including at-risk report. So I'm just going to share briefly, give me 1 second, what you will see in Connect. So I've set up a course in Connect using Alexander, Fundamentals of Electric Circuit. So as you could see here, this is the student view of Connect. I've set up a couple of activities for every week. Of course, this is just a mock sort of, this is a demo course, so this is just an example. You don't have to teach your students how to use Connect, because we've got it covered. We have the orientation videos and documents available. Earlier I mentioned about the adaptive reading. You can assign chapters in adaptive reading that you want students to read at a time. On the left-hand side, student will have access to the ebook as well. So if I just go straight into the adaptive reading, what does it mean by adaptive? It means that the students will, this system will identify what students know and don't know based on how they answer the practice questions and highlight the items in the book that would be the perfect match for them to learn at that time. This way, students are not getting frustrated because they're not going to learn things that they're not ready to learn. But at the same time, the students who are a little bit more advanced can just breeze through very, very quickly. Here, I'm just going into the Smart Book, and you could see that as a student, and I will be able to see the due date of this assignment, the estimated time that I need to invest actually, or to invest on this for this particular assignment, which is about 1 hour, and then I need to learn 34 concepts. So because I am quite traditional, I'm going to start with reading rather than the questions. So in the reading, I'm just going to click next concept so that you can see that some items are highlighted, because this is sort of first time for me to start reading. This system will try to giving me the base knowledge before identifying exactly what I know and don't know. So I'm just going through it, and the items that are not highlighted, it doesn't mean that students don't need to read it at all. It might be highlighted later when the system thinks that this is the time for the student to read about those. So after I go through a few pages, and if I'm ready now to answer some questions, I can go to questions. And here is the practice questions that Amin mentioned earlier. So the students are reading as well as doing some practice questions. And you could see this particular one comes as a fill in the blank question. The exact same question might be asked again later on in a different format, just to really test whether the student know or doesn't know about this particular concept. So let's say in this case, I'm just going to say electric circuit, which might be incorrect, most likely. And I'm going to say I have very, very low confidence. So this is the point. It's not only students have to answer the questions, they also need to rate their own confidence. And this, their answer to this and the time they spend in answering questions and rating their confidence are used as the data points by SmartBook to identify what they need to learn next. So I'm just going to say low, and that's right. I was incorrect, and it also gives immediate answer. If the students want to read about this a little bit further, they can go into reading here. I'm just going to click on it, and it will take students to the section that they need to read in order to be able to answer this question. I'm just going to exit the assignment so that I can show you some algorithmic questions that we have as well. So earlier I mentioned about algorithmic, how it is the same question essentially, but then with different value. So this is what we have. This is one example. And you could see here on the left-hand side, there are various resources available for students. If you don't want to make them available to students, you can actually set it up so that they're not visible. So it is, Connect is just very easy to navigate and to set. And in this case, I'm just going to show that for this particular question, I'm just going to answer 12. And you could see here the question is assume I0 is 1 ampere and IS is 23. So if I go to the next question, which is actually the exact same question as this one, you could see that instead of 23 amperes, it says 21 amperes. So this just to show you that the value keeps on changing. This means that students will need to answer have different answer. So in this case, let's say I'm just going to say 13. And then I'm going to submit it just so that you can see the kind of feedback that we have. Our explanation and feedback is just so elaborate. You could see it. This is the default. This is something that students can get immediately if you want to, or if you want to set it up as an assessment and you want to have a delayed feedback, we can set it up that way as well. Now, we actually, in Australia, one of the instructors said that, well, I don't want to spoon feed students too much. So I want to have less explanation. So how does it work? So this is what happened in the next question. We actually adjust the explanation according to what the instructors want. So Connect is so flexible that, you know, whatever you need, we might be able to find a solution for you. The other question type that I would like to show you is the free body diagram. How it is very, very difficult, I guess, to mark students on the free body diagram online. So what we have here is that this particular question actually asks students to draw the free body diagram plus answering some of the questions. So this is, we have this one, and you could see that this is a multi-part question. And then at the bottom, students are asked to draw the free body diagram needed to determine the reactions at A and B when H is 0 and 200 millimeters. So I'm just going to start drawing. This question, of course, doesn't come from fundamentals of electric circuits. It's more from fractal mechanics, I believe. But I just wanted to show you how easy it is to just draw questions from some other titles as well into this particular one. So I'm just going to draw a force. I'm just clicking a force. And then I'm going to select the force, which will be P. And the origin is the point G. And I'm just going to say that it actually goes towards rather than away. And then I can select the angle, for example, 60 here. Or I can actually drag it around. So I'm just going to drag it like this. I'm just going to make it 270, and that's it. And students can also can draw the rest as well, because we have point A and B, and we can actually draw everything. So let's say I'm just going to draw another force at B, and then it will be B and away, and then I'm just going to say 315, and that's it. So I'm just going, I'm happy with it. I'm just going to the next question, which is the calculation question. Again, it is still the same question, but then now it's about the calculation. So let's say I'm just going to say 10 Newton, 45 degrees, or 20 Newton, 60 degrees. So let's say I'm happy with everything, and then I just want to submit. All right, so this is the feedback that we have the solution here. But then if I want to see the correct answer, this is my answer, which is incorrect. But then if I want to see the correct answer, I just need to click on that and the button, and then I can see that this is the correct answer. All right, and yeah. And one more thing is the process-oriented problem. So again, this is actually this one question, one very complex engineering problem. But the system, well, we broke it down into, in this particular one, 5 questions to really ask students about their assumption, how they come into conclusions, basically, on how to calculate it. So this is the question, and you could see that the first question is about what assumptions can be made about this problem before beginning the analysis. So it's really challenging students to think and then to match, to connect the theoretical background and the application. So in this case, let's say I'm just going to select a few. And I want to show you the next question is about, there are many ways to go about solving the centroid machine component. Below are the steps that represent one way to solve the problem. Rank these steps below in the order in which they need to be performed in order to determine the centroid of the machine component. So now the students are asked to provide the, to sort of sequence it in the right order. So that's really, well, to demonstrate that they really understand what this question is about. And again, if I'm happy with it, and then I just need to click submit, the kind of feedback that students will get is that, okay, this is incorrect, and these ones are correct. And then it provides explanations. All right, I think that should be it from me. Of course, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. And thank you again for your time. And back to you, Mel.
Great, thank you so much for that, Happy. That was actually really helpful, just having a look at what that looks like on Connect and just going through that demo as well. We've got a lot of questions coming through. We did have quite a few questions on how do we look at the student, what they've actually worked at to get that answer. So luckily we went through that, where you can actually prove the effort and the ideas behind that final answer. So that's really key and really good to inform those assessment results as well. So quite a few questions here for Professor Amon, but of course both of you guys can definitely have a weigh in. So one question here we have is, We'd like to know a comparison, so advantages and also disadvantages between live lectures or those pre-recorded lectures. What's your approach and why would you choose one over another?
Would you like me to answer that question?
Yeah, if you've run them both and you've got some ideas, that would be great.
Yeah. I think the answer to that question is that they are both very useful because some students would like this is their learning style, that they like to attend live lectures and ask questions, and they learn more effectively if they actually see everything live, and they don't really like recorded lectures. So this is their style of learning. There are some other students who would like to watch recording again and again, and as I said, at their own pace. So for example, I heard from some of my students that they find some of the lectures are boring because they are slow, and they want to fast forward the lecture and watch like a 50-minute lecture in about 25 minutes, and they get the best learning experience through a recorded lecture. So my recommendation is that definitely we have to have live lectures. Only pre-recording is not really good. So and the thing is that students need to own their learning experience, and they want to know that you make the effort to actually make those live lectures available to the students. So I would recommend to have live lectures and provide opportunities for students to interact, ask questions, and try to answer the questions as much as you can in your live lecture. But at the same time, I think it would be very useful because the technology is there. Why not we record the lecture and make it available for students to watch it again and again later on?
Yep, absolutely. Happy, do you have any sort of idea based on your interactions with instructors and also your knowledge of learning design? Anything on that one as well?
I think as students, I agree with Saiied, with Amin, sorry, that it is, students really enjoy the self-paced because a lot of students are very, very busy now with so many other activities, and of course, their experience in the university is not just about learning; it's also about learning about themselves, right? Socializing. So by with this online learning, it allows them to just do things that are at their own time and be able to contextualize everything, at their own time as well. So, yeah.
Great, absolutely. So we probably only have time for one more question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to just add another point here that if there is no opportunity to have live lectures and there is only one option and it's recorded lectures, I think my recommendation is that the recorded lectures should be very short and to a topic. Students find it very useful if you have like a 3 to 4 minutes video on a topic, and then you actually create a different video on another topic. So, and you actually classify them based on the topic, so students can go to that recording that it's exactly what they are looking for, rather than watch a 50-minute lecture to just find out what they need to hear. So short videos more effective.
Absolutely, that is such key information. We've had a lot of feedback that those individual pre-recorded lectures need to be bite-sized, they need to be small. The attention span that students have right now with everything else on the horizon is very competitive, so definitely bite-sized pre-recorded pieces. And we're more than happy to help you guys with any information around that as well. If you have more information, please reach out and we'll help you getting on board with what sort of filming bite-sized lectures could look like. So we are at the end of the session. However, please hang around if you do have some more questions. We've got quite a few questions that have come through. However, we won't get through to them all. I will be emailing everybody with these questions and answers later. So please continue to ask questions, email them through, whatever you wanted to do. So one more question that I think is quite key, however, there are quite a lot here for both of you guys, I think. So what should students know before starting an online course? This is a very different landscape. This is different to what everyone is used to. Instructors are a little bit nervous. Students have a lot of fear. So what can you guys think about to really make sure that they have some sort of comfort and understanding for what they're heading into now?
Happy, would you like to try that? If I might be able to answer that question. So I think communication to students is the key, and you definitely need to be upfront with your plan for teaching online, and make sure, very similar to face-to-face teaching, because you always plan the semester much ahead and you communicate it to the students. So the same thing for online teaching. You have to plan it ahead. All the assessments should be clear. The scope of the activities per week should be clear. The expectations should be well communicated to the students, clearly communicated to the students. And one of the things we usually do, which is not really good in terms of student experience, is that, like, we go through 3 weeks of the semester and we say, oh, maybe we should change it to a different way. And changing, maybe one change is okay, but if you just keep changing the structure of your course or the delivery mode or the way you're assessing the students, is frustrating students. I think you need to be aware that you have to be consistent with your delivery and evaluating students' learning throughout the semester. So communication, I think, is the key. Let them know what your plan is much ahead.
Yeah, I agree completely with Amin. And also one more thing to add is the availability of resources, because we all know how difficult it is for students to access the library, for example, and other resources. So make sure that we're offering, what we offer here is something that would be available to all students, affordable, and just, to ensure that equity.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Also, just on that as well, anybody that has any new students entering your cohort that are coming from what they might be used to in a completely online instruction, we have just launched a new platform called Head Start. So that is a program which is specifically designed to combat all of these new issues that have come up with not having a traditional academic term and moving to online learning. So that is specifically for students and instructors to get them on board for this completely new landscape. So if you want to know more about Head Start, please reach out to me and we can give you that information as well. Another question here, just while I have you guys, I think this one is more for Eamon, obviously being one of the instructors or professors at your institution. So you did mention Facebook. Do you have any sort of issues using social media? So if you're looking at getting some more engagement through Twitter or Facebook, so anything with social media, do you have any sort of issues? Do you have any guidelines from your institution that you need to keep in mind? Any advice that you can give with people wanting to get more active on social media?
That's a very good question, because not many academics are interested to get into social media and get engaged with that because of the risks of having issues and troubles and code of conduct and all that. I have never had a single issue in the last 15 years of my teaching at the University of Queensland, and since I used Facebook about I think 8 years ago in my courses. The good thing about, Facebook is not as popular anymore as a social media, and the new generations are moving towards Instagram and Snapchat and all that. So some people are blaming me for being so traditional and old-fashioned and still using Facebook. And the good thing about the Facebook is that through our university internet system and ITS, there is a mechanism that students only connect or create an account with their university email address, and that's the only way they can join my courses. So every person is identified with their name, their email address, and this is not open to outsiders. And when they log in, all their information is there, and they have to sign an agreement that they follow the code of conduct, and they will be prosecuted if they not. So we are very safe in that regard.
Perfect. Happy, I'm not sure if you would have anything to add to that. Please just put your hand up or unmute if you did, but otherwise I'm happy to have a look at some more questions. So, Amin, I think this one's for you as well. Could you discuss how do you bring practicals to life in an online environment, which is quite difficult? How would you sort of approach that?
This is a very good question. So I think the most challenge every academic had this semester when they had practical activities in their courses was going online with no access to the laboratory, to the practical environment, to the workshop. And yeah, I mean, it is not possible to replace a physical hands-on activity with an online module. It is not possible. But what can we do? We just do our best to provide students with a learning opportunity that at least they can achieve the learning objectives of that practical activity, but obviously they cannot really have the same practical experience with that activity. So obviously the practicals are different. Some of them are just using an instrument, and it's just like operating an instrument. So these practicals are, I mean, easier to be replaced with an online version, because as long as you just video the whole procedure from the beginning to the end, you introduce the components of the instrument and the equipment, and you just go through the whole practice and collect data, and at the end you just provide students with the data. I think that's what I did with my practical, and it was very useful. However, there are some practicals that you actually need to make something. You need to use a tool, you need to go to a workshop, you actually need to use a saw, you need to do chemicals and mix them and feel it, smell it, and see, you know, everything in real time and in physical, and it is very difficult to replace them with an online module. But yeah, so there are like various strategies, and I think people are trying different techniques. What I did with my prac was useful because it was not as hands-on practical activity. It was just operating a machine, and I could just video it and provide it to the students.
Great, how interesting. Happy, have you got anything as well, any sort of advice on how instructors can bring anything to life? Or
I think it goes back to the creativity of the instructor, and as it's quite evident that Amin has got so many ideas to make that happen, and really it's about being persistent as well, right? So it is not easy, and it's a challenge for everyone. But some instructors are happy with just recorded lecture. But now it's about listening to the students who are actually our customers, right? So yeah, I think it's about attending this webinar, for example, is one way to learn about different ways on how to make it more engaging for students.
Yep, I very much agree. It's about looking at. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Amin.
No, I was just trying to say that when you face a challenge, you become more innovative and you come up with new ideas. So I'm sure that like this semester, this this term, everywhere, this time, is giving everybody a chance to think outside of the box and look at their teaching in a different way than what they were comfortable with. So I think practical activities, clinical activities, simulations are an area that maybe people come up with innovative ideas in the future, and everybody can utilize them in their own courses.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not agree more. This is the time to be innovative and proactive, and you do have all of the tools at your disposal to use them. So please reach out to us if you want us to jump on to Connect and have a look at what this could look like at your institution with your classes as well. So for today, we'll wrap this session up. Everybody will receive this session recorded and sent to you. You will also receive these slides as well as more of these questions that have come through. So any more questions you have, please continue to send them and I will get the speakers to answer them and you'll get those as well. So thank you everybody for attending. Thank you so much to Happy and Professor Amin for your contributions. It's been, for me, super helpful as well, being part of the engineering portfolio. So we would love any sort of feedback that anybody can give us as well. What else you want to hear from us? Please reach out to our speakers. All of the information is currently on this slide right now, which you will also receive after this session. If you have any questions, please make sure you reach out to myself, who has emailed you for all of these webinars, and obviously the speakers as well. If you want to know more about Connect and how to use Connect or Head Start, you can also reach out to a local academic consultant, which is also on these emails. Thank you everybody for attending this webinar, and thank you to our speakers and also our moderators for helping. Thank you everyone.
Thanks, Melanie. Thanks, Happy.
Thank you. Bye guys.
Yes, thanks
Bye.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.